Guys, times like this is why I don't blame people who don't believe anything that comes from the mainstream media, because it was clear that during that first debate, the Biden campaign did not have a plan, or at least a plan that was different from that of the president's in terms of how to fight COVID. Okay. Now, this man on October 15th tweeted, "We're 8 months into this pandemic and Donald Trump still doesn't have a plan to get this virus under control. I do." Okay. This is what Biden said. He said, "I have a plan." Now, I knew he didn't have a plan, but the mainstream media ran with the narrative that no president would have been worse at handling this virus than President Trump, and that literally anything that Biden does would be an upgrade over that of President Trump. Now that the mainstream media has let Biden run away with those lies, even though it was obvious at the time that he doesn't have a plan, now all of a sudden Biden gets in office, we're starting to see that, in fact, Biden does not have a plan. And matter of fact, what they're actually admitting is that President Trump actually did a great job with the virus. That's what the Biden administration is essentially saying. They're saying that without actually saying it. And it's so funny to see this administration fall apart in the first few days, because I knew as soon as Biden signed that toothless, stupid executive order about wearing a mask on federal property on the first day, but he didn't do the mask mandate, I knew he did not have the cojones to do what really needs to be done to stop the pandemic, which is a full-blown lockdown, which obviously, guys, I don't want that. I don't want him to do that. But that literally is the only thing that he can do that will be better than what President Trump had already done to stop this virus. And I knew that Biden did not have anything outside of what the president had already done. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So Biden also tweeted that I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country, right? Telling people that he's not going to shut down the country, right? And I'm glad he's not going to shut down the country. But in his own words, that means that he has to do something different than what President Trump had already been doing, okay? He held himself to this standard. So Biden comes out after tweeting this and basically says that there's nothing they can do to actually change the trajectory of this pandemic. Take a look.
If we fail to act, there will be a wave of evictions and foreclosures in the coming months as this pandemic rages on, because there's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months.
All right, so you guys heard it. He said out of his own mouth, there's nothing that we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next few months. Okay, so that either implies two things. That either implies that Trump has done everything that he could do up until this point, or what that implies is that Trump has messed it up so bad that all the miraculous things that we want to do are not going to help, at least in the first few months. That's the only two logical explanations in terms of why they can't change the trajectory after promising that they were going to shut down the virus and that Trump was so bad. Okay? So to them, they're trying to go with the narrative that President Trump was so terrible and that things are so bad that it's going to take time for us to make it better. And in fact, they even came out and said that President Trump had no vaccine distribution plan, right? They trying to say, oh, we have to start from scratch on that. Well, we know that's a lie because Fauci came out. Fauci came out and said, no, we don't really have to start from scratch on that. Like, that's kind of bullshit. Okay? They're continuing to lie on the last administration to try to protect their own butts and the fact that they don't have any answers. There's nothing different that they can possibly do. And in fact, the lying is getting so bad that they're really starting to tell the American people and admit that President Trump actually has done a fantastic job. So Biden, when asked by a reporter about the goal of having, I think it's 100 million vaccinations in 100 days, he got frustrated. And let's take a look at his response.
Mr. President, you said the goal at 100 million vaccines in 100 days. Is that high enough? Shouldn't you set
are higher. That's basically where the U.S. is right now.
When I announced it, you all said it's not possible. Come on, give me a break, man.
Come on, you guys, let's
Mr.
go.
It's a
President,
good start.
Come on, you
Thank you.
guys, let's go. Press, let's go. Come on, you guys, let's go.
Yeah. So tell me that's not the most Biden response I've ever seen in my life. You want a break 3 days into your presidency, dog? You talking about give me a break? You said that you were going to do so much better than the president. You said that the bar is so low because the president was so bad. That's what you said. And that's also what the narrative that the media ran with. Okay, you put yourself in this position. So you need to be the one to achieve the goals that you set for yourself. You said that you're going to do better than what the president's already doing. Why is it that you set a goal that's already been reached by the president's administration? And you can't sit here and come up with this excuse that, well, when we actually said that at the time, that was actually an extraordinary goal. So what you're admitting is that Trump has reached an extraordinary goal because Biden's goal of 100 million shots a day for COVID-19 has already been reached by Trump. So why are you setting a bar that's already been reached by the last president if you said that you're going to do better than him? Again, this is the trick that the Democrats pull on people. They come in with these extravagant promises, but yet when it comes down to actually executing on those promises, they always underdeliver. And even his White House press secretary doesn't even have a great answer for why the president's administration is setting their bar at the same level of President Trump.
Given the urgent need for vaccinations, why not aim higher?
Well, first of all, we're not packing up our bags and leaving at 100 days. We felt it was important, and we set that goal before any American had received a single shot. So
you saying that you set a goal before any American received a shot, and you're saying that this goal was a high goal. This was an extraordinary goal, according to you, your narrative. So what you're saying in virtue of the fact that you're setting the bar here because this is an extraordinary goal, a goal that happens to already have been reached. What you're saying is that Trump had reached your extraordinary goal before he left office. So what you're saying is that Trump did a great job on the vaccine, that Trump did just as good of a job on the vaccine as that you would have done. That's what you're saying. So you owe Trump an apology because you lied. You pretended like you could do better than him and you didn't. You pretended like he was doing nothing. He was denying the science, even though he had Operation Warp Speed. The only thing they came out to Trump for was the fact that, okay, Trump wasn't obsessive about wearing masks. That's the only knock they had on the man. Again, guys, it's just so funny and it's so frustrating at the same time how the truth all of a sudden comes out. Once the Biden administration is in office, you see things starting to fall apart. Oh, they never had a plan.
the incoming Biden administration felt it was important to set what was described as a bold and ambitious goal at the time. And
So President Trump hit a bold and ambitious goal at the time. That's what you're saying. And I wish this so-called journalist would follow up with her and say, wait, so you're saying that the last president administration, President Trump's administration, that you guys said was so terrible and so bad that you said that you literally could come in on the first day and do better than him. They hit a bold and ambitious goal? Are you saying they did a good job? Matter of fact, if you really listen to what they're actually saying is that President Trump did such a great job that there is literally nothing that they can do to be better than him on the virus. And matter of fact, they didn't think that what President Trump achieved could have been possible. That's what they're saying.
We doubted we could even get there. So we want to set our own markers and markers for the American public so that they know we're meeting our goal. If we surpass that, that's great. We're going to continue working after day 100 as well.
And what they're saying is they don't have to work harder. And that's why President Trump in his farewell speech basically said Biden's coming in with like great infrastructure and great resources and kind of ahead of the game, right? Biden's coming in with his ambitious goal already reached because the last administration had reached it. And see, now this is why we got to hold the media to the fire, because Biden should get credit for anything. Any type of recovery that happens with this virus, all of it should go to President Trump unless Biden starts to do something significant. Okay? So let's read a little bit more from the New York Post about this so we can get full context in terms of the numbers here. President Biden's wartime effort, goal to vaccinate 100 people against COVID-19 in 100 days, relies on a daily average that was repeatedly bested under former President Donald Trump. Biden's first full day in office on Thursday saw 1.3 million Americans inoculated against the deadly coronavirus, according to data compiled by Bloomberg News. But the same figures show that 1.3 million shots were administered on January 11th and that 1.1 million were given both January 14th and 16th. Vaccinations also hit a record high, 1.6 million, on Wednesday when Biden was sworn into office, according to the data. 1.6 million when Biden was sworn into office. So what does that mean, guys? 1.6 million, that's higher than the goal of 100 million people in 100 days. That's higher than that. That's projected to be higher than that. So that means that President Trump not only hit Biden's ambitious goal, but he's almost on track to exceed it, potentially by double, if it keeps going up. Okay? But see, this is the administration that's came in and said that there was no vaccine distribution plan. How is that possible when they hit your goal, a goal that you said was ambitious, that you said may not be able to be done? Okay? And see, guys, I just wish the mainstream media would just call it straight. Call it straight. Call these people out. Okay? Call these people out on this hypocrisy. Like I said, a real journalist would ask her, okay, so are you giving the Trump administration credit? Are you saying that the Trump administration hit your goal? Now, what are you going to do that's going to be better than what the Trump administration did? Because if you don't have a plan that's better than what the Trump administration did, then we got to give an apology to the Trump administration. We got to go back and change our whole narrative and say, no, well, in hindsight, President Trump actually did a great job with the virus. And matter of fact, he may have handled it better than anybody could have possibly handled it. And see, the problem is that these people just want to look at how many cases, when they don't understand that we live in a culture, in a society where people are not going to not be social. Okay? People are going to visit friends. People are going to hang out with others. People are going to interact, and they don't want to do it wearing a mask. Okay? And that's something that people are doing in private. That is why COVID is still spreading. Everywhere you go requires a mask. Okay? So putting mask mandates in place is not going to work. It's not going to stop anything. Because the practical nature of wearing one does not exist when you're in the house, hanging out with friends, hanging out with family, being social. And just so YouTube doesn't get it confused, right? I am not saying that masks don't work. Masks do work. However, what I'm saying is that people don't wear them in the house, and you cannot make people wear masks in the house when they're trying to be social with other people. Unless Biden can make people do that, which is literally, according to them, the only thing they can do at this point to do anything that President Trump hasn't already done, then there's nothing that can be done about it. Okay? Right? Like that's what people got to understand. If you're not willing to lock down the country and make people wear masks in their house like China did, and literally not let people come outside, then shut up about the virus. Shut up about it. I don't want to hear what you have to say about it. Okay? But see, they could get that benefit of the doubt if they had judged Trump on that standard. However, that's not what they did. They put every single death on Trump. They put every single case on Trump. So now I have to put every single death and every single case on Biden. And I know that's not a fair standard. It's not fair. It wasn't fair to Trump. It's not fair to Biden. But too bad. This is what y'all asked for. And now, like I said, and like a lot of other people have been saying, you guys obviously had no plan. And now you're actually admitting that President Trump has exceeded your expectations in what you thought was possible. Trump has done it and exceeded it. So now the whole narrative about Trump being the worst president ever when it comes to a pandemic is bogus. They said it, not me. I didn't have to say it. They said it. Okay? So, guys, there's really not much more to say here. I just feel like the media has to give an apology. Like, after the Bidens came out and said this, they have to give an apology to President Trump. They have to roll back the narrative that President Trump was the cause of all the COVID deaths. They have to. Right? The man is owed an apology. Because these are things that he lost the election on. This type of narrative. And this is why when people want to talk about what happened with the election, I know for certain that the media had a strong influence on what happened in the election. Okay? That's the only thing that I know for certain. And the media is more culpable than anybody in terms of what the outcome was, in my opinion. Because of narratives like this that they peddled, knowing that Biden ultimately had no plan that was going to be better than what President Trump was already doing. But yet they framed the president as doing nothing. He was a signs denier. He didn't care about people dying, even though all his actions pointed to the contrary. Okay? So, it'll be interesting to see how Biden continues to waddle through this. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.